Welcome to Here Where You Belong, your go-to podcast for exploring belonging with your host and belonging expert, Dea Irby. We are thrilled to have you join us. Together, we'll dive into the depths of what it means for each of us to find our own place in the world, whether it's within our communities, our relationships, or within ourselves. Today's episode is meant to inspire, uplift, and remind you that no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. So grab a cozy spot and settle in. Welcome to Here Where You Belong.
Hello, awesome belongers. Welcome home to Here Where You Belong podcast. Today's guest believes one of the greatest barriers to belonging is the quiet belief that we have to earn our place. I'm Dea, your host. Get ready to be inspired and blessed. Help me welcome today's guest, Carlene Marie. Hey, Carlene.
Hi, Dea.
Marie.
Thank you. I love that. Thank you for your warm welcome. It's amazing to be here with you today. I appreciate it.
I'm excited about it. So let me tell you a little bit more about our guest today. Carlene Marie is a master mind power coach, keynote speaker, and author of Enough Already, a transformational guide for women who are ready to stop second guessing themselves and come home to who they've always been. Through her signature Compass method, Carlene helps people uncover the hidden beliefs that fuel self-doubt, overthinking, and the feeling that they're never quite enough. Blending practical mindset tools, neuroscience, and spiritual insight, she empowers people to stop proving their worth and start living from it. Carlene Marie doesn't see her work as simply teaching personal growth. She sees it as walking alongside people as they remember who they've always been. And at the heart of her message is the truth I think so many of us need to hear. We don't have to earn the right to belong. We are already enough. Her greatest hope is that people leave every conversation feeling lighter than when they arrived, more hopeful, more seen, and a little more at home within themselves. Carlene, any additions, subtractions, or corrections?
I think you encompassed it all. I really do. And I think as we speak, there'll be, new things that come out. But yes, you encompassed all of that and so beautifully. So thank you.
Oh, good. Well, as you know, I've invited you on here, as I do others, to share your story of belonging. And it sounds like you're able to help other people find that they belong to themselves because you've experienced that yourself. So tell us your belonging story.
I love that. Thank you. And belonging is so vital because how we show up in community and how we feel that we belong truly begins within. How we show up in that community and how we actually feel and think and what we believe about ourselves. And I'm only here and able to be this guide and be in this place because I've walked this journey where I didn't always believe that I was enough. And I think that so many people don't even realize the unconscious limiting beliefs of we're not enough actually shows up in our lives. And I love the quote by Carl Jung, and he says, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives and we will call it fate. And so oftentimes we are walking around on autopilot. We revert to patterns of behavior or patterns of thinking that we don't even realize that not enough. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like, my story of growing up as the oldest daughter in an Irish Catholic family right outside of Boston. And as the oldest, I was told I was the strong one, and I believed it. And there was a lot of expectation on me as that strong one. And I really kind of fused my worth with being strong and also earning approval and also achieving. And so for me, growing up unconsciously, I was deeply loved, but I also felt that my worth ascended when I achieved or pleased or, was the good girl or did what I was told. But my worth plummeted when I disappointed somebody or fell short or made a mistake. And I didn't realize it, but that was kind of the quiet script of my unconscious mind, of my limiting beliefs. And that, even though I was the firstborn and achieving, my dad passed when I was just 18, just as I was going off to college. And my
Oh,
mother was a 40-year-old widow and my younger brother was 16. And I had that voice in my head, you're the strong one. You carry it all. Make sure you carry it with dignity and pride. And so that became the vow of which I lived by. And I carried that and graduated with honors and went on to have, a career in Boston and then moved to the Midwest at the time for my husband's career and had two children back to back. And I put a lot of pressure on making that life and that home and being the perfect wife and having the perfect home and the perfect mom, right? And doing all the things. But I also realized that I had once again fused my not enoughness with my own body image. I had two children back to back, 17 months apart, and they are my life delights. But I gained a lot of weight with one and then never lost it, and then gained even more with my second one. And I realized, even raising my children, that my not enough was because I just didn't feel enough in my own skin, in my own body. And I think I turned away from a lot of opportunities of going to the neighborhood pool or taking them to the water park that they really wanted to. And so I share that because not enough doesn't just run quietly in the background of our own minds. It can steal our joy and our connection and our opportunities for that connection with our loved ones when we don't bring it into consciousness and don't bring it into light. So my journey was kind of, that not enoughness, but it really came to a pinnacle for me after my marriage ended, as both my young adults were heading off to college and my nest was empty. And I suddenly found myself at this brand new crossroads of who am I? What
wow.
now? What am I going to do with my life? I had given my life to my family, raising my children. And for me, that not enough, not good enough, that I was behind in my life. I didn't have, an outside career. I had devoted my life to my family and felt like that behind script, like I should be here by now. That's also how not enough runs in our unconscious mind. It's people pleasing or overachieving or trying to find that we have to earn rest or earn our place and not really uncovering that we have inherent self-worth. So during that time for me, what was really pivotal and what became part of my journey and what I do today was really working with my own life coach at that real like crossroads of my life and reaching out and realizing that I needed support. And step by step, I really regained a lot of clarity and courage. And through each step was really kind of realizing my enoughness, but it still wasn't what it is today. And so it was a journey of really kind of a sacred return, not becoming somebody new, but remembering who I was all along, that I was
I
enough.
really like that. I like that distinction. You're not creating a new person. You're stripping away the layers to get down to who you really are, who you're
Truly.
made to be.
I love that you said it that way. Truly. It's about remembering that, not becoming somebody new. And so that was still kind of part of my journey. And that was so inspiring to me that I gained those steps and those tools and I moved rather quickly with a lot of my decisions, the clarity I gained, the courage, the way that it helped me remember my enoughness, and then became a master mind power coach and, just started my own coaching business and using all of my own journey, my own pain, a lot of the unknowns that I personally went through, that I could now be a guide to help others through their own loss, their own grief, their own life. I call it like a life like flashpoint, whatever that is. We have so many of them, whether it's a
Wow.
loss of a loved one or an empty nest or a what now? Who am I? What next? And so I used all of my own journey that brought me to this moment where I share that I have a sacred front row seat every day with the clients that I get to guide with proven transformational methods and tools, proven in neuroscience and also spirit. I always infuse that if the client is open to that, to really help them get from where they are to where they want to be. And so that was always kind of part of my joy. And I had always wanted to write a book. And I had my own not enoughness even in that. Who am I? Who am I to write a book that hasn't
But who's
already
going to
been
read my
written?
book?
Right? who am I? There was still that not enoughness, right? And I do believe that until we go back and we look at the stories that we told ourselves that we either absorbed through culture or a moment or a major life transition, it doesn't always have to be in those tender years of childhood. We can find our not enough story still emerges at some new point in our lives. But until we bring those stories with awareness into the light and see them for what they are, a faulty belief, a limiting belief that never determines who we are, and we begin to rewrite that story. And I woke up one morning in my coaching career with the desire to write a book, not really knowing who am I to write it? What am I going to say? And it came to me, enough already. And through that, I experienced that as whether we are young women, young girls, or even young boys, hearing those words said to us in an exasperated way. Enough already. Stop crying. Enough already. You're too dramatic. You're too sensitive. You're too much, whatever it is. And how we absorb that. And we believe the stories of others, whether it's a parent or a coach or a teacher. Somebody
Mhm.
else tells us, and then we're so young, we don't have the language or the life experience or the mental or emotional resilience or maturity to understand it. And so we just accept it. And that becomes the quiet script by which we live until we bring the unconscious into the light of conscious awareness and say no more. And we remember that we are. So the subtitle of my book is It's Enough Already, Release Self-Doubt, Reclaim Your Worth, Remember Your Light. Because I truly believe that we have been bestowed with a light by our Creator. And it's not a matter of going out and finding it, it's a matter of remembering it. So the journey of the book is really the exasperated enough already that are hurled at our own hearts from others, and then also from to our own self-talk. We say it to ourselves like, enough already, get it together, right? It's so many points in our lives where I guide you through this journey that no matter what season you're going through, what decision that you need to make, whatever you are facing in life, that you can put a hand to your own heart and know without a doubt that you are enough already.
Wow. Um, Great journey. And who better to help other people than someone who has experienced it? That's how did you find your life coach?
I found her, honestly, Google. I was in the Midwest and she was down in Texas, and I Googled what I was looking for and I found her, and she was in Texas. And this was before Zoom. So I'm kind of dating myself here. And it was over the phone. And she would work with me over the phone. And that's how I had my sessions with her. It was very powerful. It really was so helpful at that crossroads time in my life where I was really trying to find my way.
Right. Well, she was a godsend.
Truly. Hmm.
And so then you've developed, oh, I want to talk a little bit about the neuroscience
Yes.
of all that you do. Is there a way to briefly explain that?
Yes, I absolutely love that. So I've been trained by my amazing mentors, the authors of Master Your Mind Power, Steph and Shay Shafidal, and they have a coaching program with proven methods based on the science of your mind of how we can release the limiting beliefs and the negative emotions that we carry that are unconscious and be able to repattern that so that we can then find kind of whatever that story was telling us to go back and be able to find the silver lining. So many of us think that life happened to us. But when we can go back to maybe a limiting belief or a memory or something that we felt like life happened to us, but we can discover where it happened for us, that's the beginning of the shifting. That's the beginning of the realization that we can find that gold, that silver lining. It was the famous Viktor Frankl who
Oh,
said,
yeah.
yeah, you remember, Viktor Frankl, right? One of the things that I truly believe is, there is a space between stimulus and response. So many of us are walking around and we just react. We don't even realize, and we look at ourselves and maybe think, why did I behave that way? I don't want to show up that way, but we might have lost our patience or something might have, pick your word, triggered us, activated us, ticked us off, fill in the blank. And we find that we just simply react and we don't understand why. But I love Frankl because he talks about in between that stimulus where we want to react and our response, there is a space, and that space is the pause. And in that pause lies our power. And in that is our freedom. And so I'm so intrigued by that we can rewire and repattern the mind. Neuroplasticity, proves it. We used to think that you couldn't teach an old dog new tricks, but based on the neuroplasticity, which is actually, changing the ability to be able to change pathways and change behaviors, that it actually is possible. So I'm always fascinated by that, and it's emerging. Neuroscience is emerging every day with new studies, but I love bringing that into my coaching. And a lot of people think that change has to be long and hard and arduous. And based on the teachings of Dr. Milton Erickson or a lot of neuro-linguistic programming, change of the mind can be rather easy and effortless, and it can happen very quickly. And so I've been trained in a proven process to help us release those not enough stories, self-doubt, the limiting beliefs. And through that, in my own coaching, I came across what I decided to create, and it's called the compass method. And I kind of reject in the positive mindset world to just think a positive thought. Because tell that to somebody when they're triggered or spiraling. Will that work? Most likely not. And
Or like
so
that's like saying somebody, calm down. It's
exactly, it's
like
it's it's not going to work. And because so much we feel in our own bodies,
right.
our bodies store that, our nervous systems become dysregulated, right? We feel it, right? In our throats get dry, we close up, our heart races. There's something in our body the moment that we feel spiral or trigger or activated by somebody saying something to us or an experience that we have. And so I really wanted to create something that was easy and memorable for my clients and also for me because I'm human, right? I say this to my clients when we release things, it doesn't mean that they never arise in our life again. It doesn't mean that life just magically gets easier. We get better. We get better. And so I love that the compass is a 4-step waypoint, just like a compass with north, south, east, west, where there are 4 waypoints of the compass. And the first one is called connect. I want you to connect to yourself. The moment you feel that activation, instead of reacting, you say to yourself, okay, there it is. I'm thinking this. I'm feeling this. We don't become the thought. We don't become the feeling. We're able to step outside of it and say, okay, I'm connecting to myself. So there's the first compass waypoint. Well, when we're activated or triggered, usually the brain is hijacked. We're not accessing clarity. We're not accessing calm, logical thinking because the body's activated. So the second point on the compass is calm. We need to calm the body. And I share that we can do that through breath. You could do it
Yeah.
through
Take a deep breath.
take a deep breath. You could do it with stillness, with prayer. You could go for a walk. It's a moment where you regulate your nervous system. You could go through box breathing. Navy SEALs use box breathing all of the time, where it's an inhale through your nose for 3 to 4 seconds, a hold for 3 to 4, an exhale for 3 to 4, and another hold. So it's like you're breathing through the 4 points of a box to regulate your body. Some people only need to go through it once. Some people might need to go through it 3 or 4 times. So then once the body is at ease, that's when the prefrontal cortex of your brain can come back online. You can access clarity. You can now begin to think clearer and you've regulated your body. So I call that curious. Let's get curious. What was the story that I was just telling myself? And what's the opposite of that? Is this really truth? What
Yeah.
else might be true here? So it expands the lens of our thinking. It widens the lens where we're able to expand our thinking and we're not stuck in that reactive, very small way of looking at a problem. But to
Mhm.
me, it's the fourth step on the compass that really helps us be able to repattern the story and show up differently. And that's claim. We need to claim our change. We need to show up differently. And how do we do that? We ask ourselves, what's one way that I can now show up in a different way? Is it instead of shoving it down, have the courage to have that hard conversation? Is it
Mhm.
speaking up in a new, calm way, saying, hey, that just happened and I felt this way, and this was the story I was telling myself? but I want to share with you what I was feeling and thinking. Are you open to it? For some people, that could be a huge change in the way they show up in the world. Claim is so important because by showing up and claiming our change and acting differently, that's casting a vote for the person that we want to become, the way that we want to repattern the patterns that aren't serving us well. And so the compass is a quick, easy way for you to go from connect, calm, curious, claim. And to me, that is the
They
very
all
easy
start
way.
with the letter C.
Yes, they do. See, right? So, yeah.
Yes,
So,
and compass starts with C as well. So there it is.
yes.
That is wonderful. I can tell that I could sit here and listen for hours and hours, and you will always continue bringing value. But we need to take a break.
All
So
right, let's take a break.
we'll be right back with my fabulous guest today, Carlene Marie. Hey there! Isn't my guest amazing? So glad you joined us today. In this world that often feels disconnected, building community and fostering belonging are essential. That's why I created this podcast, to bring inspiring people to you, to encourage you to create that sense of belonging and community, no matter where you are. If you're being blessed by my guest, and we have some more, like, subscribe, and share this podcast. You know who needs to hear this. Stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember, you belong. Now, back to our amazing guest. And we are back with my fabulous guest today, Carlene Marie. And if you've heard any of my podcasts, you know I love to ask them my 3 favorite questions, and she's going to get to answer them as well. Carlene Marie, what do you consider is your greatest accomplishment? Well, I've already heard multiple accomplishments, but what do you consider is your greatest accomplishment?
I would consider my greatest accomplishment is raising my adult children, my son and my daughter, Connor and Shannon, and getting to be their mom and also a stepmom to my son Sam. That is truly they are my life delights and my greatest accomplishment. And also too, I am remarried and both of us have come together and really, I think because of our past and a lot of realizations and have done a lot of work, I think I'm so proud of our communication. I'm proud of our relationship. I'm proud of our life that we continue to evolve and grow and always support each other. So I'm really grateful for that with my husband, Eric.
And so how long have you been married to
It
Eric?
will be 2 years, September 1st. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. So we're newlyweds still.
Yes, you are.
Mhm.
Today, well, our our anniversary is today,
Happy anniversary. How many years?
52. We're
Wow.
50 years ahead of you.
Yes, ma'am. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. So, how did, well, do you want to tell the love story, or do you want to, I mean, you know all this stuff and you've learned so much from this. Are you tempted to life coach your Eric?
Oh, he tells me all the time. We kind of have a funny thing. One time, he's such a servant. He's such a servant, and I mean, my coffee is brought to me every day, and the things that he does for me. He's a protector and a servant, and he'll bring my coffee, and I'll say, "Babe, thank you so much. I so appreciate you." And he'll say, "I do what I can." And one day, as a mind power coach, I turned to him. I was joking, and I said, "But can you do better?" So that's kind of like it's definitely a joke that we have that, he's married to a coach and he'll like, oh, I know, can I do better? But it's just a fun little inside joke that we have.
Oh, that is good. How did you, in raising your children, well, it was after they were out of the home that you really had all these realizations. How has your relationship with them as adults changed? Or what did they, I guess they know about everything that hopefully
Yeah,
they're going to read your book and things. How
sure.
has that made an impact on your adult relationship?
Sure. So as I tell you today, as I've been talking to you now, my adult son, Connor, who will be 30 on the 30th of this month, he's flying to meet us. He's flying in tonight to spend this time with us. So let me share. My children experienced a lot of pain. They were not expecting their parents to divorce, and that's not something that, unfortunately, in their lives, they would have to unpack that hurt. It was something that, as a parent, we never want to hurt our children. So that was something that they both had to journey through. And also, we had to journey through, the two of them and me, our own relationship and our own healing. And that took some time. And that took a lot of time. And it kept me showing up and wanting to invest that time with them. And there was time where they needed their own space for their own healing. And I surrendered that to prayer and to God. And that journey today is, when Eric and I got married almost 2 years ago, both Connor and Shannon were there. Shannon was our maid of honor and gave the most amazing speech at our wedding. And
Oh,
it really came full circle. And then for my son to be flying in tonight to spend this time with me and his stepdad. So it wasn't, it didn't, it's not, it didn't start where it ended. It was a journey of some pain and some healing, and to be able to be honest and open with each other, to be able to get to where we are today.
well, I keep having this vision of like a walnut or a pecan or something. It's got that hard shell, and you can't get to the fruit unless you crack open the shell, and it takes, pain. If the pecan shell could feel, it would say, "Ouch, that hurt, Hammer," when you're popping open or a nutcracker. Um, but that's when you can get to the fruit of the nut or the joy of it. And that's, I mean, if anybody's going to get out of their shell and find out who this inside of them really is, you have to go through that breaking through.
It's so true. And as you're saying this, it's amazing because when they were little, I used to share with them, and it's actually in my book. I would say mountaintops are great for views and inspiration, but fruit is grown in the valley. And so it's so amazing how aligned we are. We didn't plan this. It's coming up in our conversation, but it's true, right? Like we don't like the dark valleys. We don't like the low valleys. They can be barren, and those valleys can be challenging, but that's where the fruit is really grown. So it's a journey. It's really a
Yeah.
journey. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that they were able to come first full circle and have a better start in their adult life.
For sure. I'm sure. And again, they have their unique journey of experiencing their dad and I divorcing, and then their own healing, and then also now their own unique journeys to see both of us in very happy and healthy relationships. So that's really beautiful. And I think it's
Mhm.
a testimony that life is developmental. We are always learning and growing, and it's never too late. It's never too late to, I don't even want to say begin again. It's a begin anew, right? It's never too late.
Mhm. And to get all the way back home, welcome home, to who you really are inside.
It's so
Um,
true. Yeah,
and next question. I love all that. And some of this we might have already answered sort of along the way, but we can talk about it more. What makes you feel like you belong?
I love this question. I think, first of all, being authentic, being real, being who God made me to be, and being able to express that fully, that makes me feel like I belong. And I think that's twofold. You can belong and feel that to yourself within. And I think that then affects how you feel that belonging without, in the communities, in the circles, in the families that you inhabit. So belonging to me is that inherent self-worth, because believing it within really affects how we show up within and without. So
Hmm.
I think to be belong means to really know yourself, to be comfortable with yourself, accepting and loving of yourself, to know that you are enough, that you have been given inherent self-worth. from our creator, and then that you carry that light into every environment, every circle, whether it's your family or work or the community or the women's organization or wherever you happen to be. That belonging is then supported by the people that you are around, but I think it always starts from within.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation now that you're aware,
Mhm.
uh, where I don't belong here? And how did you know, and what did you do about it?
I have felt that. And I think I instinctively knew it was a feeling that I had. I think oftentimes we feel something in our body before we even consciously form the thoughts in our own mind. So for me, it was kind of like I felt it in my gut. I just
Right.
felt it visually, and had that realization and was able to, through some time and some prayer, realize this isn't a space for me. And then be able to confidently make the decision to exit in the best way that I needed to.
Well, well, the thing about being in the wrong place, it could be that there's absolutely nothing wrong with that place. It's just not
Right.
where you're supposed to be. And if you're spending time being in the wrong place, that means you're not spending time being in the right place.
That's so brilliant. And I totally agree. And I think that oftentimes until we close a door, another one won't open or doesn't open. And so just to be more conscious and more aware of how we feel in our bodies, what we're saying to ourselves, our self-talk in those environments. Is it life affirming? Is it energizing? Are those spaces that you feel like you can be truly who you are? Or are those spaces places where you feel drained or you feel like you can't use your voice or you feel it in your body, you feel like your throat getting dry or closing up? I think we just know, but it's just that awareness to realize, is this for my highest and greatest good? Is this the environment? And those often shift. Where we once were, they could feel that way, and then over time it could change, and then we can graciously exit.
Well, hopefully, we're not the same people. So
Right.
the same situation may not be appropriate
Anymore. Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, someone once said, no man enters the same river twice because
Mhm.
the river has moved or he's changed.
That's so
So
wise.
you cannot have the same exact experience. Have you worked with anyone who had, well, like if you're in a group and you know you don't belong there, you can, politely or however make an exit. But what if it's a family member that you can't get away from, or your boss at work? I guess you could change your work. But have you helped someone through? There may be somebody listening. Well, that sounds all great and good, but I'm stuck
Yeah,
here where I
sure.
don't belong. What can I do about
Sure. I love that. Well, I think I love sharing the compass method because it's a moment to really have a moment, have a tool that you can use in a season or in a moment that you can return to over and over again, right? So if that is a space where a boss's words are challenging or, the dynamics are challenging, that moving through the compass daily, momentarily, where you connect to yourself. Okay, here it is again, right? This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking, but I'm not the thought, right? I'm observing the thought. And then whatever it is, breath work, taking a walk, leaving your desk, being able to settle into the body to calm the nervous system is so important. And that looks different for everybody,
it? Hmm.
whatever they're called to do. And then to get curious, right? Like what else could also be true here? Because when we're in situations like that, we can tend to be, as humans, it's our nature, we can tend to kind of be extreme thinkers. But two things can be true at once, right? This could be a challenging situation. And also, all of the things that I now are demonizing about this person may not always be true, right? So we can tend to get in that lane and have what I call stinking thinking. But we could say, okay, it is challenging. And also, what is this here to teach me? Right? And then also claim your change. How are you going to show up differently? Are you going to use your voice? We can use our voices without apology and without aggression. We can use our voices and express ourselves. We have choice always. And so I would say, use the compass. I get it. Life is going to life. It doesn't mean that we won't experience challenge, cutting words, family dynamics where maybe we're talked more about than talked with. I mean, those are really, they're real.
Real.
So we need a way to come home to ourselves, to not disempower ourselves, but to empower ourselves. And that's why I created the compass. I think it's easy. I think it's memorable, but I know it works. It's based on the science of your mind. It's based on your nervous system regulation. And it also expands your thinking so that we're not so extreme. Because when we're in pain or we're triggered or whatever, we can tend to just think one thing, and sometimes there's more than one thing that's true at that moment.
Right. That is so powerful to have a tangible tool. Well, I mean, it's tangible. I guess if you wrote it down, you could hold it. But what I
Yeah.
mean is a very descript tool that you can come back to work on things. One, in dealing with situations that come up like that, where you find yourself getting upset about what they did or what happened, someone once gave me the advice to stop and say, what happened? What is? And like somebody didn't wave at you at the grocery store. Well, and then your mind goes, they're mad at me. What did I do? And go over the conversation you had with them the last time, and then you're all this, but what happened? They
It's
didn't wave. Curious. What are the other? Could it be that they're really in a hurry and focused on getting the groceries, and they are in a bad mood, or somebody called them with some bad news? What happened? And
it's so
that's what it's don't.
That's so brilliant because we make up a story in our own mind
Oh yeah.
instantaneously, right? We did. And look,
Don't
I'm not
write a
above,
story.
don't write a story. And I share this because look, I'm not above the work. I call myself a coach and a guide. I'm human. I use the compass. I remember asking my husband to read a chapter of my book. I wanted his insight on something. And
Uh-oh.
and a couple of days passed and he said, "Hey, I read that chapter and this is what I think." And I had not shared the entire book with him yet. It was just that one chapter. And that's all that he said. And we were sitting on the couch and it was a Sunday afternoon. And in my mind already, I was thinking, is it not good enough? Did you not like it? Right? And all my training. And I used my own compass. I said, okay, here I am. Something stirring in me from my past. That's all.
Right.
That's all. Then I sat there and I did some box breathing. He wouldn't know. I was just box breathing quietly to myself. And then I went to curious, what am I making this about? What else might be true here? What's the opposite of this old story that's running in my head? And then I turned to him. I claimed my change instead of pushing it down or swallowing it or never addressing it, right? I turned to him and I said, "Hey, honey, do you have a moment? Like, I just want to share with you something that I'm feeling in the moment. And are you open to me sharing that right now?" And he was like, "Of course." And then I shared this and I said, "The story I'm telling and he was like, "That's not what I meant at all." So I get it. I use my own compass, and I think, we're not life is gonna life. We're human beings. Emotions are meant to be felt. We were given emotions, including anger. And, it doesn't mean that they're negative when we feel them. It's what we do with them and what we do and how we
Good distinction. Good distinction.
yeah.
Yes, is what we do with them. Very, very good. Well, I know we could continue talking forever and ever, and this is also good. I'm going to get to my third question, though. What is your favorite quote? This is so fun because no two people have had the same quote.
It's virtually impossible to ask me this because I was an English major and I'm
Oh,
a word person, but I love this one at this point in my life right now. And it's by Saint Catherine Siena, who said, "Be who God meant you to be, and you will set the world on fire." And I love that quote because there's a second quote, and she's in my book, and her name is Sister Peg Dolan, and she said, your name has only ever once been spoken by God." And so I love that because it ties in so lovely with Catherine of Siena. And it doesn't mean like you have to set the world on fire and you have to be out there doing grand things. You can set the world on fire in your own home. I did for years, I believe, as a stay-at-home mom and everything that I gave to my family, right? You can go and do grand things like your own daughter is doing mission work on the other side of the world, right? And you can do it every moment in between that because of being who you are, being who God meant. Each of us are unique. There will never be another Dea. There will never be another Carlene, right? So we are here on this blip of time to be able to be who we truly were inherently made to be. And that's why my subtitle of my book is Release self-doubt, reclaim your worth, remember your light, because each of us have been given that light within us, and that's how we set the world on fire.
I totally agree with everything you've said. And my favorite verse is Ephesians, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which he prepared beforehand for us to walk in. So, yes, if we're not being who he made us to be, then we're not there to do what he's already got for us to do.
I love that.
And
That's so
that work is
powerful.
getting done because we're not doing it. So I totally, we are so aligned on that. Appreciate that quote. Um, it is hard for an English teacher to choose, I'm sure. And I like the way you said at this time in my life. It doesn't limit you. Yes, there's
Right now,
lots
right now. Yeah, I
right
love
now,
that. Right
today,
now. In this moment.
in this moment in time. Well, we have done our three questions. And before we close, I would like for you to just, you've shared so much helpful information with the Compass method and just all about your book coming out on September 22nd and available on Amazon, I'm assuming. But
Yeah.
before we close, I want you to just, what parting words do
Mm.
you have for our listeners and what do they need to know?
Oh, wow. I love that. To always remember your self-worth, that you were given that, it was bestowed upon you, that light within you. And I think so often, and to realize with grace and understanding that somewhere along the way, most all of us were given a story that we unconsciously believed about ourselves. And life is going to life, but I love that Carl Jung said, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives and we'll simply call it fate. And so I do believe that there is a time to be able to say, whose voice is that? Whose story is that? And do I choose to continue to believe it? Or can I create my own new story? I'm not saying or sugarcoating that we all don't have challenges, we don't have hardships in life. We certainly do. We have struggles and pain, but we also can decide, did that happen to us? Or can we find where it might have happened for us and let that carry us forward to be able to bring that healing into the world and also healing within ourselves? I really do believe that to remember our inherent worth and question the ways that we show up, whether we're overthinkers or we feel like we have to earn our rest, or we write a text 3 times before we send it to get it perfect, or we say yes when every part of us wants to say no, when we have no capacity to take on that favor. That when we can step into our voice and be able to own that without aggression, without apology, and really step into our full self-worth, our self-trust, we can show up in this life not only who we are truly meant to be, but by it, we can be a light to others and help them be able to show up as who they are meant to be. And so it really is an honor. It's a sacred honor to have written that book. I think it was a divine download to me. I know it was. And it's ready to come out into the world. And we talked about birthing a book and what it's like. And it's been an amazing journey. And I only hope, and I say somewhere in the book, I think it's in the acknowledgments, that any light that this book carries begins and ends with God. And I'm just a little pencil along the path, trying to help those that may be in the darkness of forgetting the beauty of their inherent worth, that they have it, and it's not about becoming somebody new. It's just about remembering who you are.
I love, love, love that. And as you mentioned, uh, God and being the light, some people might have the story that for me to come out in the world and be myself is self-promotion. But that is a lie because what you're doing is honoring God as his creation.
Ooh, that's beautiful. I love that. I think that's so powerful. And I talk about that with my clients. There's a difference between boasting and bragging. I really think there is, right? And we're not bragging about who we are, but we are called to be all that we are to be, to let that light shine, right? So don't hide it, right? Don't let
Right,
that
right.
light be hidden. And to just be fully who we are. And there's no other person out there exactly like you. There never was and there never will be. Your time is now. If you hear those words, like you're here for a reason. Your time is now. And I think to remember your light is really powerful. And I think that will resonate with different people wherever they are on their path and their journey and what they're experiencing in life right now. But there's always, we're not meant to walk it alone. There's always support out there.
Right, right. And we have to be who God made us to be because it's like we're a puzzle piece. And if we try to be somebody else's puzzle piece, the picture's not complete. There's a hole in the picture because we're
Wow.
not being our puzzle piece.
I love that. I love that. That's a beautiful
Oh,
visual. I love that.
oh, well, wow. Well, to our amazing guest, thank you,
Thank
Carlene
you.
Marie.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me. Thank you. What a beautiful opportunity. I really am grateful. Thank you.
And to our listeners, belongers, stay true to yourself and stay connected and always remember you belong. This is Dea Irby with Here Where You Belong podcast signing off. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to Hear Where You Belong. We hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace the beauty of belonging in your own life. Remember, no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. Join us again next time for more insightful conversations and heartwarming stories. Until then, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember that you belong.